Welcome to Ghostly Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Find your own voice. Lead from within. Welcome to Ghostly Talk Shows. Over to you, Amanda. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Amanda Cottrell. I am coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's bright and early here, but I know it's afternoon where you are. I am a teacher, an author, and an illustrator, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves. Carol Ann?
Good afternoon. From London, UK. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I assist soul-driven entrepreneurs in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their book written, getting their story written, because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. So I'm Carol Ann, the writing facilitator.
Thank you so much, Carol Ann and Amanda. So our topic today is how do you embrace your gray goodness? So Carol Ann, you chose this topic, and I would love to basically know why you chose the topic. I know there are some women who are out there who are embracing who they are, who are in their gray, and basically they don't color their hair. They've decided that they just gonna go and style it the way it is. And it's actually surprisingly, it looks natural, it looks so beautiful, silver, because it's silver. So over to you, Carol Ann, please.
Yeah, and it sort of came up, and I think in this particular time, because through lockdown, we didn't have hairdressers, and a lot of women have had to sort of let their hair go, or sort of not go, but it's grown out, and greys have perhaps come through, or they've had to colour it themselves. And I think it's brought about that change, that realization that maybe there is something to look at here. But I think even before we went into lockdown, there was a shift happening. And something I like, a quote by Viktor Frankl, where he says, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." And I know I started going grey very early. I was, quite young when I started going grey, and my children sort of say, "Oh, it's your fault, Mum," because they started going grey earlier. They sort of coloured it, and they've been colouring it, and or dyeing their hair. But my elder daughter has actually, the last few years, has let hers grow out, and has allowed herself to go grey. But I know for myself, there were times when I used to think, "Oh, I want more colour," because I used to colour my hair, and then it got to a point where it just became too much to keep going to the hairdresser to do that. And there's a part of me wanted to, but there was another part that wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure that I liked the grey, and I felt that for me it made me look old, and I don't know, it was in my head a lot. But I seemed to I just let it happen. And actually what can happen is the grey changes over time. I would have darker parts of my hair darker greys and lighter greys. There were parts that were more silver, but the rest was quite dark. And now over the last few years, it's become quite silver. And even my, hairdresser has said, wow, it's really gone very sort of silver, but it's been amazing to watch. And so I think it's something that maybe we need to learn to embrace, because it is natural. And what is it about having to have color in our hair? So I just thought it'd be great to explore it, and how could we embrace it? What is going on out there? And what are your thoughts? So, Amanda.
Well, I always have to, well, I haven't actually never dyed my hair until the last year or so, but I'm now in my 40s, so that would be one of the reasons why. But I don't really have to dye all of it. All I have is like a little bit of gray here, and then a little bit, like there's like 3 pieces on top. And my daughter's like, why do you even bother? I'm like, put it on a ponytail, and you can see it. But I definitely think that like aging is something to embrace, because whether it's like letting your hair go gray or it's still dark, I think it's something really, really powerful. Sometimes I feel look at people who are 20 with not anymore. I feel so much, and every single thing is an opportunity to learn. So I feel like I embrace the journey of learning along as I go. And even my daughter, I'm like, stay small, but also it's been like such a wonderful journey to watch her grow too, even though she's only 10. But I think that anyone who has children recognizes that every stage of their childhood has so many amazing aspects to it, and I can think of that even through my own life, that each time in my life has some pretty amazing things and some struggles and some challenges, but you learn and grow throughout each stage of your life. And I think that instead of being like, oh, I'm almost 40, I'm like, yes, I'm 40. Right? Like, and like embrace your everything that comes at you at different ages. I know my aunt is in her 70s, and she is one of the most empowering people that I know, and she's just such a like spit full of energy. And she's out on her farm and like dealing with her horses, and like always out there just like giving it 110% all the time, and in her, you'd never know she was 70. Or she's over 70, she's like 74 or something. But yeah, it's pretty amazing, all the different stages. And I think that we really should embrace our different stages of life, because there are so many powerful things that when you're like can see the good in each stage, I think that becomes so powerful.
And there's a quote here got by Anatole France, who says, all changes, even the most longed for, have their melancholy. For what we leave behind us is a part of ourselves. We must die to one life before we can enter into another. And I think that's what this is, isn't it? You've got each part of your life, something about the other one is changed. It's died, or you've had to leave it. And so it's in some ways, maybe there's this grief for what was. And so it's dealing with that grief as well that can come up or be there. Maybe people don't realize that there is an element of longing for, of grief, because, oh, I still want, that's part of me that no longer is. And so it is embracing that, recognizing the emotional aspects of what's going on, and then yet embracing the new stage, and letting go of the old part of you, the old stage that you come through, and just to embrace it, this change that happens. And actually, there is a saying that change is the only constant, because there's always changes happening. So it's, our hair does change. There's a naturalness to going grey, which at the time when it first starts, yeah, it's I found it hard, I know. But,
Where's Amanda?
I think her internet looked a bit and sounded a bit unstable just now, so she's disappeared. She'll probably come back.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like something disappears and we can embrace there's something else popping up, and she'll join us. So what are your thoughts, Nolsa?
Embracing my gray hair. So you know, like I don't have a gray hair yet, but I grew up watching my dad. My dad had gray hair. I think he was older than my mom. I think he had gray hair when he was young, I think in his early 20s. So he never really dyed his hair, just embraced his hair. So what? Let his hair out. So for me, I thought it was his natural hair because he was good looking man. So I just thought that was his natural hair. And until I got older, realizing actually when he started, actually somebody pulled one of his hair when he was young, then he went all gray all over his hair. So it's kind of amazing. I basically would say I agree with you, Carol Anna. You have with the quote that you read that says when we are no longer able to change the situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So I think that a great idea basically to actually accept ourselves for who we are. Who is this? For who we are as as a human being. A human being is embracing our looks, because if we dye our hair, that means we are denying of who we are. You can actually dye it if you want to, because that is what you desire. But at the same time, for me, I would just say embrace what you. I'm trying to bring Amanda back. Okay, she's back. So I would just say, where did you go?
It just said I lost connection, and then I could hear you guys, and it said I was backstage, and then I went in and out a couple times, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, lovely.
I would just say, just feel grateful. If you feel that you want to dye your hair, you can dye it, but as long as you're feeling grateful, not feeling guilty that you are getting older. We are all getting older each and every single day, and we have to be grateful each year that we live, because like right now there's some people that have been taken by the pandemic, but we have survived. So if you have your gray hair and you feel like, okay, but I like my gray hair, but I like to maybe put some color on it, but not feeling that I'm old, I'm hiding it. No, just putting color just because you want to is fine, but embrace the years that God has given you. Because if you are getting gray in your 40, that means that you have lived for that 40 years, and you have to embrace it and not worrying about what people think that you are getting old. We're all getting old anyway. So just embrace it. Your willpower is your willpower. Your gray hair, it says, I lived all these years, and I am living and I'm celebrating it, and I'm enjoying who I am. And I am actually being grateful for these years that God has given me, and embracing being me. So some people may struggle to do that. And I think that is actually that is actually a good idea. When I watched my dad was like really, really dark. He had gray hair when he was in his 20s, all over the head, basically. But he embraced the good looking women. Used to go after him. And sometimes I would be with him, walking with him. I'll be like, he's married, he's my dad. So he was a good looking man, embracing who he is, who he was as a person. And when he died, I looked at his date of birth and I was like, oh, you're an old man. But he never basically, he never actually labeled himself like I'm old. He was always smiling, always embracing his look. So I think I'm going to take that from him and who he was. And just, if I go great, just enjoy who I am as a person and just embrace my life. And I see like Carol Ann, I think silver is power. I hear girls, sometimes I meet girls, they're like, if you have a gray man, please bring them to me. I think gray is sexy. I don't know. Actually, I think it's sexy.
What, on a man or on a woman or both?
Both. As long as you look after your hair, it's all about styling your hair. As long as you look after it.
Yeah. And you say about the style, because when my daughter decided to embrace her, going grey, and she got her hairdresser just to put some beautiful little sort of highlights in her hair, but shaped it beautifully. It looked absolutely stunning, and just gently grew out the colour she had there, and it just changed slowly over time. And when she went completely grey, it's just so beautiful. But the style that she was given suited her as well. So yes, it is important that you go to the hairdresser, get your hair styled and embrace it. And there are things you can do to just make that transition a bit easier. And, perhaps maybe put little baby highlights in, or maybe just temporary color of the roots as it's, the gray's growing out. Just something that's not a permanent thing that makes it a harsh transition, but just something that maybe just allows for that transition to glide through gracefully, and you embrace it each stage of the journey. And again, it comes down to a mindset, doesn't it? And because I know my daughter was she didn't like her grey hair. She didn't like the way it was, but she looked absolutely stunning with it. And we were out and about in London, and this lady came up to us and said, oh, I just want to say how beautiful your hair looks. And apparently there's there's a community, and there are groups to do with and magazines, or that there are whole conversations about going grey. And this lady was really complimentary to my daughter, which I thought was really beautiful. And it meant that it wasn't coming from family, this was coming from a stranger, And so I could see that just helped the confidence. I think if we do compliment, make a point of complimenting people, it does help and makes such a difference. But there are communities now. There's growing grey hair community out there. And so it is becoming much more of a topic conversation, and, embracing it. And there are a lot of celebrities now doing it, apparently, as well. And you can see it. Everybody's is unique. Everybody has a unique greyness to their hair. And so I think it's, see how unique is yours, rather than going, oh, I'm going grey, and that's it. There's nothing unique about it. It is unique in its own way, the grey, the shade of grey, how it goes through your hair in different shades of grey, and then how it slowly changes over time. But yeah, definitely, as you say, Nomsa, get a cut, see the hairdresser and get a really good cut. That certainly highlights it as well. Amanda.
Hi,
Right.
Gina. How are you? Should I say good morning, ladies?
Sorry.
Good morning.
Hi, Gina.
Must be not in London because, or where you guys are, because it's only mornings.
I think it is in America, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that people, like, there's lots of people out there who are going just on the more natural route, right? And so, if going on a more natural route allows is part of your journey with your hair, then that's that's something that you can choose as well. And so I love that there is a community of people who are starting to embrace going gray. I know there's also more like hair dyes and stuff out there now too that allow you to not put such harsh chemicals on your hair. And so I think that's something that's can be important to see and to try too, because I try as much as I can to use as many natural products as possible. And so that's something that I struggled with when I started to get a little bit gray, was like, oh, I don't want to put chemicals in my hair. Because I only ever dyed it like when I was like 18 and then 15, 16, and then I just always left it. And then when I started just this last year being like, oh, maybe it's time. But I only just do like a little tiny bit here. It's like this root thing. And just those couple pieces. But I'm lucky that way, I guess. But I also think that I wish there was more natural products that would allow me to not wreck my hair with the dye as well, because I think that's something that's important to consider. But also just embracing that journey. Again, I like how Nomzo was talking about, like, just do you. If you want to dye your hair, dye your hair. If you want to let it go gray, let it go gray. It's like no judgment. And I think that's something that we need to start embracing, is just having no judgment of others and allowing them to choose their path. And if they want to choose to go gray, then great. If they want to choose to dye their hair, great. If they want to choose a different path than what other people have chosen for themselves, then let them embrace it and encourage them along the way. I think that's something that we really are seeing more of a push towards.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much about that. Gina says he's in Kansas City, in America. So I'd love to hear what he thinks about gray. Gina, you can type and tell us what you think about going gray. I agree with Amanda, really. If you really feel that, because you have to connect with your body. If you go gray, you have to give yourself a moment that you connect with your body and embracing it. And when you connect with your body, it means you are actually accepting who you are. You're accepting your image. And then it just diet. If you feel like you want to diet, like you said, you basically put some colors on your hair. But not just to say dye your hair just because you're feeling guilty that you're getting old. For me personally, I don't want the age when I was 21 or 20. I don't want to go back there. It was dark, but now it's much clear. I'm 43. My life is much clear, so I have to embrace me getting older, my age, and just embrace it and have fun. Even if gray comes with it, why not celebrate it? Because when I was 19 and 18, my identity was actually in the dark. I didn't know who I was, and I don't want to go back there. Even though I didn't have gray hair, it's a place where I don't want to get there. I'm sure you guys have been there in your 20s. You know how it felt like. And now you are in this age where you are into personal development, and everything is so much clear about who you are, your identity. So why not celebrate it? And I know some people, they're like, I'm old, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, me, I'm celebrating me, I'm doing me. And sometimes basically you have to walk it when you are wearing a dress. I don't know what you guys do when you go and buy a dress. For me, when I buy a dress, I have to connect with that dress. I have to walk it. And even with my gray hair, one day when I have my gray hair, I'm gonna have to connect with it and just feel it and embracing that age that has kept me till this age. So I have to celebrate it. And you have to love your look. What is there not to love? Gray hair comes with part of your body. Love your look, embracing it, and just be who you are as a person. If it means going and put like I was looking at the images of the girls on Google. Some of them, they accepted their gray hair, and they've put some highlights, and some of them have kept it and just dilated it. They look sexy. They look amazing because it's their natural look. They're embracing it, and I think as a woman, if you actually accept who you are, you accept your look. It doesn't matter how you look, as long as you're embracing it and you are feeling it, you're telling that body that I'm feeling my look. I think it's sexy, whatever is you feeling at that moment. For me, basically, when I always say to my clients when they are taking pictures, I always say to them, tell me a story. Who are you? In that story, in that picture, give me a story. Not too much makeup. I don't care about makeup. All I care about you giving me, this is who I am, Nobisa. That's what I want. I want to see the real you. So I think if you are going gray, you have to embrace it. You have to embrace that moment. Some people be like, no man want a woman who's going gray. Guess what? Men, actually, a genuine man, and they're looking for what's on the inside. Genuine women out there, they are looking for what's on the inside of a man is greater than what's on the inside or on the outside. What's on the inside of a woman is greater than that. So what comes out, the gray comes from the inside, is your blood, is your roots. So why not celebrate it? So for me, I say just celebrate it. If you have to wear high heels, just tie your hair up and just celebrate it. Because when you actually present yourself, people will be interested in how you present yourself. They won't be worried about you going gray, you're getting old. It's how you present yourself as a person. So I don't know what you girls think. What did I say?
How you present yourself. It comes down to how you're holding yourself, doesn't it? And if you're confident about who you are, and clear on who you are, your identity, you're comfortable with who you are, you hold yourself in a different way. And that then projects a different energy, a different image. And people aren't going to focus on, oh, she's going grey, or oh, that doesn't look nice. Because if you're like this about, oh, my hair, or that's the energy that goes out. And you can see your body stance is not, it's not comfortable with who you are. If you sit up, hold your head up, and you focus on, I'm comfortable with who I am, that's what will come over, and people won't question it. Something else that you can do is actually get your colours done. Because if you get your colours done and have a look at which colours that you can wear, there are certain colours that go with the colour, the shade of your skin, your hair colour as well. And I know when I have my colours done, I had started going grey then, and she said, oh, because you're, with the greyness of your hair, these are the colours that will suit you best, So it is about colour, bringing colour in, not necessarily into your hair, but what are you wearing that then enhances and goes with your hair going grey. But again, that your colour inside, who are you? and being really confident in who you are. And so accepting that. And there is a quote here says, the art of life lies in a constant readjustment to our surroundings. So it is that constant adjustment. And I would then sort of, if you're worrying about your hair going grey and what other people will think, what else in your life are you concerned about that's changing, that maybe you're wanting to hold on to the way it is, but something is forcing it to change? And over these last 18 months, 2 years, this has been very very prominent and in our face. I think we've had to adapt, we've had to change. And people talk about going back to normality. We'll never go back to that. Once you've changed and things have moved on, there is no way of going back. We're in a different normality. So now, what was normal, that word normal now applies to what's here right now. So you create a new normality. So again, use the metaphor. How are you with change in life and in your life and what's going on around you, in your business, in your relationships? Sometimes relationships, they come to an end and we need to move on. Sometimes the dynamics in the relationships changes. How do you work with that and adapt to that has both of you be comfortable? Especially if you're wanting to stay together rather than part company. So again, it's doing inner work. It's looking at what are the adjustments and being in the moment, letting go of what was, looking at, saying, I want this for the future. I have goals, have dreams, what it is you want, but being in the moment. How can you adjust your thinking right now to be with who you are and with what is happening? So, yeah, take a look around. What else are you not comfortable with in your life? And I love it. Is it was Gina's saying? I'm not sure how I'm feeling about going more natural. Yeah, it is. When you've coloured your hair for so long, it is about, my clients are starting to embrace going grey. Male clients are starting to bring up this trend.
I think
I've had lots of changes and also taking some big steps. So Gina's, it's great, Gina, to see you looking at that. So look at your life. And sorry, Amanda, you were going to come in.
No, I was just going to comment on embracing change, because I think sometimes we just get stuck in our routine, and while routines can be very positive, sometimes taking a step outside of that routine can be something that's really empowering as well. And sometimes the changes that come out in our life are actually such a gift, and that I think aging is in so many ways a gift, and that we are allowed to, we wake up each day with a new fresh start and a new beginning. And I think that we have the choice to either look at it as like, oh, I'm getting older, or like, oh, I'm so much more experienced, and I have so much more knowledge to share, and I really truly can continuously learn. And I think that's something that it's a choice on whether or not you want to embrace changes in your life or not. And you can embrace going gray. You can embrace even things that people think are a negative, like a divorce or a separation, or when really it could possibly turn out in the long run to be one of the best decisions of your life. I know for me that was the case. And I know that there's other people out there too, that when you're going through that change and things are really, really hard and difficult, and you don't know how you're going to make it through the next day in 5 years or 10 years or even the following year, you might be on such a different path and be so grateful that you went through that challenging time. And I know that I look up to people who have lived through a struggle, not people who've had a really easy life. People who have lived through something really difficult and come out of it being so inspiring and empowering, and have such a positive attitude towards life, and not even necessarily a positive attitude, but just a willingness to look at things even as neutral, and as, so that you can observe things as a neutral party. Sorry, my cat. She just loves to be part of it all the time. But when we can look at even going gray or aging as neutral, as it's not positive or negative, it just is. It's just something that happens, and we get to choose how we look at our journey, and in our minds we can always things into a positive or a negative. and it's our choice on so many things. And I went to a workshop 2 weeks ago by this blogger in Calgary, and her blog is called The Broke Blonde, and she had decided to not go through with her marriage, and ended her engagement right before the wedding. So she was running a workshop out of the place where she was supposed to have the wedding. They had given her like a credit on the room. And so she was running this workshop for women on it, and this lady was speaking about her son actually passing away, and how she turned it into, she was like, we're going to, instead of looking at this as such a negative, and all the doctors that were coming in every single day, like walking on eggshells around her family, were like, we're going to dance, we're going to bring as much joy to this baby's life as we possibly can until the day that they pass. And she was so inspiring to listen to. Like, she took this heartache and struggle that she went through and has turned it into helping others. And I thought that was, I couldn't imagine losing a child. And so she took that pain and turned it into helping others. And I think that is such a gift that she has brought forward. And also her view on how to deal with the struggle of when he was sick, to try to bring as much joy into that hospital room as they possibly could. And I thought, wow, that is amazing. Like, what an amazing person, and how much more positive that would have been for that baby to live in so much joy, as much as they possibly could give him for the few days. We didn't make it to a year, but for the days that he was here on earth, that they gave him as much joy as they possibly could. So I think that we can embrace change, and we can embrace struggles, and we can really use them to help move us forward.
And I love that, because that child's life was probably only meant to be here that length of time. And look at the purpose that served. Look what came out of that. And I think sometimes we set this standard that we have to live to the ripe old age of whatever, 70, 80, 90. But, and then, we do die younger, or somebody dies younger, then it's a tragedy, it's life's over. But maybe that's all their life was meant to be. Maybe they accomplished what they came for in that lifetime. And if you, as you say, focus on the positive and the great thing that actually came out of that, it's celebrating that child's life here on earth, for however short it was, and however painful that may have been at the time to know, and to lose them that way. Look at what came out of it, and how many other stories are like that. And I think it is that celebration and acknowledgement and giving gratitude to what has come out of it enables us to move on. And it is that adaptability. It's being able to adapt. And that's the difference between adapting to cope and adapting to win. You know, we just, as I said, the art in light of life lies in constant readjustment to our surroundings. I just go back to that quote again. It is that readjustment, it's reframing and making positive. Turn the heartache and struggle to helping others. That's a beautiful phrase, and that's what can happen rather than going inwardly, and that causes you more heartache. So beautiful, Gina. You're winning. Yeah, celebrate.
I love what Gina said
Gina.
about in the comments. She said, I took care of my mother and then came out on the other side with growth that I didn't seem possible. And I think that is so amazing, is that you can go through something and at the time be like, how am I going to make it through this? And then a year later, months later, it becomes a blessing because you either are able to help others or you just are grow within yourself. And I know for me that the growth has been through having time to myself to work on books and writing and speaking and helping others realize that they're not alone. And that also they're not alone in their struggles. But then also that each of us have our own unique gifts within ourselves. And once we start to embrace those gifts, we just feel so much more empowered and have so much more to give and to share and feel full of life. Whereas before you may have been not feeling full of life. And that's one of the reasons why I get up at 5 a.m. to be on this every Tuesday, is because it helps me feel so empowered. And so this journey that I've been on and that I connect with other people halfway around the world to be on is such a empowering thing. And it all came about through change and through going through a struggle and through having difficulty in my life with divorcing someone who was very toxic. And so I think that everyone has, and then I can help other people who are going through something similar, being like, you're not alone. I know you think you are, but there's so many people who've been through this, and you'll make it out on the other side and be so much happier. And I feel that way and then I listen to other people who have gone through things like the death of a parent or the death of a child, and they also have come out the other side and have found gratitude in their struggle. And I think that we all can find gratitude in our struggle and in the changes in our life if we really look for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually so true. Like Gina, she is saying, looking after his mom, or is an amazing journey, because when you look after somebody, you give them that life. If they don't have care that they need, that means that they're gonna live on earth very soon. But if you care for somebody and you give them that life, you give them extra years or extra months, that is a blessing, because you're walking through the storm with them, with telling them that I'm here for you, I'm holding your hands. So I was talking to my friend yesterday. Actually, her son was killed last year, and I've not been able to talk to her since he died. I tried to get hold of her. I've been talking to members of the family, but she hasn't been talking, basically answering phone calls to people. But then she decided to call me. So I said to her, I know her as a Christian. I know her, basically, she's somebody that gave me strength when I was going through divorce. She was helping me out. And I said to her, do you go to church? And she was like, no, since my son died, I stopped going to church. I lost faith. So I said to her, just because you went through those challenging times, it doesn't mean that God wasn't there. It wasn't his doing. So I said to her, you need to go back to that, because that is where you should be. and look at the things like myself. I look up to you, and every time I had problems, you were always there for me. And I was telling her that it doesn't matter. We get old in life. Like we're talking about gray, we get old, we get this gray hair. We have to embrace it, no matter how much challenges you go through as a person. It doesn't mean that you have to forget where, I don't know, people's beliefs, where it's pulled you through, where God is pull you through. So you just have to, you don't have to forget it. Just because we are faced, because we are here on earth, our lives are being tested each and every day. And we are here to because the talk shows somebody will listen to our talk and they are going through something, they'll be healed for that. I've had girls sending me messages saying, look, sir, I was going through this, I was going through this. But just listening to talk and listening to other speakers talk about their experiences, just getting value, it just made me feel better. Made me feel wanting to actually uh, do things for myself. There was a girl, she watched us going through divorce. And she's been watching the talk show, and she registered to do a counseling course, and now she's preparing actually for South Africa to go overseas. And just by watching the talk show, and it's just amazing that we don't know the how much, like Gina was saying, the clients that are embracing their brain. For me, basically, gray stylish. It's amazing when somebody goes gray or you go through problems, you go gray, you have to embrace it. You have to embrace it, whatever challenges you go through that moment, because we are on here on earth, we are in here for a reason. And whatever the challenges we face, there's a lesson to learn from it. No, I wish I done things differently. No, you learn from that mistakes, and then you have to actually grow. It helps you to grow through it. And like if I look at myself with comes to relationship, where I was 10 years ago and where I am today, there's completely two different people. I'm still embracing that Nomsa. That Nomsa that was there 10 years ago has taught me so many things, amazing things. And I cannot regret being that Nomsa because I know this Nomsa was already within me. It's just I didn't realize that I was there. So we just have to embrace who we are becoming. Embrace, like if we are getting old, just embrace it. And whatever challenges we face, embrace those challenges. Just seek help from people like Amanda. You've gone through divorce as well, and Carol Anna, you've gone through divorce. It's your story. When you speak about your story, there's somebody who's going through it. And guess what? They're learning from it and they are coming through it and coming out to the other side stronger and finding their own identity. So that is amazing. Over to you, girls.
And yeah, I love what Gina said, blessing others through the storm. And it's that blessing them, it's holding that space for them. And as you said, Nomsa, walking with them through the storm, holding their hand and just being there with them. And it's not about trying to rescue somebody or pull them out of it or be fearful for them. It is about being with them and just holding that space and allowing them to go through the storm, because that's part of their life. It's their life journey. But you being there and having experienced it and can share your experience of it can actually support them in going through their storm and out the other side. And their learnings come then maybe quicker than yours were, or their learnings that they're meant to learn will show up, which are different to yours. But by you being able to hold that space and allow them to go through that storm, allows them to learn what they're here to learn in that storm. And therefore, that storm doesn't come back again. You get other storms, but that particular storm, because that's related to that lesson, won't come back again, you know? Or if it does, there's an element then of the lesson that you haven't quite learned, but it won't be so strong and powerful as it was the first time, you know? So it is, but that is a really powerful gift to be able to be with somebody and just hold that space. And it is by you going through your own changes, embracing them rather than resisting them, and seeing what comes out the other side. Because it's magic, absolute magic what comes out. We've no idea until we've gone through it. Got absolutely no idea. So I can't hear you, Amanda.
I can't hear her either. What's happened?
No.
I can hear her smiling.
I hear an echo. I mean, come and go. So there's always challenges.
It's the storms. She's having storms with her network.
Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay! I was making a joke about having technology challenges and that we've all learned how to deal with those. And then you could hear me. And they're constant.
Yep.
Even like I have a master's in education technology and they still happen constantly. So I think it's interesting how we can either like laugh off a frustration and a challenge or a change, or if we can embrace it, right? Like being able to quickly maneuver things into being able to get back on and fixing it, and then laughing it off rather than getting frustrated, right? Because technology is constantly changing, just as we're constantly changing, and we can either embrace it or get frustrated with it. And right now is just a perfect example of that. I've been kicked out. I've never been kicked out of the video, like the entire time that we've been on, and I've been on this for like a year with you guys, and today it's just not working properly. But yeah,
it's working perfectly. It's highlighting something. Be positive. Let's get in the positive.
To laugh off the frustrations.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar. I put up my Christmas lights, and it's the first time like I put them up all by myself. And so I like climbed up the ladder and put them up on my house, and I got my daughter to help me with the ladder because it's like too heavy for me to lift up when I put it up straight, because it's like can bend in all these different directions. And so I overcame my fear and I put up my lights, and then I had checked them all before I put them up, and then like 1.5 strings was burned out and I couldn't buy any new ones, so I had to take it all down and put them all new ones back up. And I was like, I can't leave it like that. I'm too OCD to leave it like that. So like the very next day I pulled it all down and I ordered new ones on Amazon and I put them back up, and I was like, this is so much better. But I laughed at that challenge and that frustration, because I'm like, only me would be so like obsessed with making something so perfect. Like I put all this work into putting it up and then it wasn't perfect. So then I took it all down, ordered new ones and started over from scratch and laughed it off, because I'm really scared of heights. And so going up on a ladder is a big challenge for me. And so I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, now the technology challenges today. It's just completely different challenges all the time, and you can either embrace them and laugh at them or get really frustrated, right? And I actually am so proud of myself for the lights because I could have been really frustrated and just left them. But now, like this last night when I got Ella to come outside and look at them, she was like, "Mom, they look so pretty. You were right. It was worth the time that you took into fixing them." So that made me really happy because sometimes something that's frustrating can in the end be something that you're really, really proud of or that you feel like gratitude towards. So I'm grateful for my lights, and every day that I see them until Christmas, when I turn off the lights, I'll be like, yes, they're so pretty.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And
Bless Tina. It's Tina saying, I'm completely shocked, amazed, and blessed at how my life has changed. Storms with the technology. Yeah, you'll be surprised when you walk through the storms how much strength that you can have. You can either fall or you can either gain strength. There are two options, no other options. Or choose to stay down. But you choose to get up with your gray hair, have strength. Like Amanda, scared of heights, putting Christmas lights in the name of Christmas.
Well, I think we should just all embrace all of the changes and even the struggles, because like Gina said, like all of you have spoken about that something that's challenging in your life, and you look back later on, you're like, wow, I learned so much and I'm grateful for what that's made me into today.
I think it's recognizing our ability to be able to look back and reflect. And that is the importance. And that's when we need to look back. We don't look back to sort of live our lives looking back, but we just look back to see how far we've come. And I've just done that recently. I found a comment the other day where I'd written, I don't know if I'll ever speak out. And this was written in my notes in March 2017. And what I've done and what I realized as I was sort of thinking back over the time, it was very much entwined with my journey of unlocking the writer within as well. And as the more work I did on myself, all of a sudden there's opportunities came my way because I couldn't see how I was going to get these opportunities to go anywhere and speak. It just didn't seem to be working out. I didn't seem to know what to say either, but actually getting the opportunities, even though I'd done some training in it and was told how to do it, it didn't seem to happen. Whereas the last few years, all of a sudden, it's just like these opportunities have come, and especially through lockdown, where everything is online now. But there's a lot of opportunities have suddenly come my way. And these last 2 years, 18 months, I've been speaking out a lot, and I just suddenly realized I found my voice. I am speaking out. So what I said then and what's happening now, it's like, ooh, change has happened. But unless I'd seen that, I wouldn't have really realized the shift. But being able to look back and acknowledge where we were and how far we've come is a great gift to give ourselves so that we can then move on. So yeah, keep acknowledging it and just allow the grey hair to come naturally. Embrace it. Embrace who you are. Know who you are. And know that when patterns are broken, new worlds emerge. And I think that's what I've been hearing today from all of us. So enjoy the change. Enjoy breaking patterns and seeing what emerges.
But Amanda, I think you've got to go. Any words of encouragement, please, before we go?
I think step up to the challenges, enjoy your journey, and embrace who you are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Carol Ann, was it your words of encouragement?
I think I've just given mine actually. Jim Rohn says, your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. What more do we need to say?
We are more than a physical body anyway, so there's more to us than worrying about gray hair, and we just need to embrace who we are, basically. And by the way, thank you, Gina, for your support. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. Sometimes we are late with technology. Hey,
Yeah.
that's life. And just come and sit with us and just put some comment if you are free. And if you're watching this video, share some love with your loved ones and your friends. Share the video and follow us on YouTube as well. Gina, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you go to my profile there, where there's lots of chains, you find the link to our YouTube channel and my profile. And God bless, and thank you for looking after your mom. It was amazing, really, to get to know your story today. And God bless you, and live with grace, everyone.